Japan is really cracking down on leak culture. Because this has been an ongoing story that's been happening for the past few weeks. Probably people will recall to where, like, there was a whole wall of just different leaks and just information on people that were leaking, let's say, JJK in One Piece, and there was two foreigners that were arrested within Japan. And earlier yesterday, there was an update to the story to where those two foreigners were rearrested because they were leaking the magazine of Kodansha, and not just Weekly Shonen Jump, aka the same magazine that has Rent a Girlfriend in it. So basically, they got arrested again because of Rent a Girlfriend, which is just, there's a lot to unbox of that one just alone, but I'm not going to just talk about that. The point of the matter is that this story is getting more and more out of control as time goes on, because after this and then this confirmation after that post, basically saying Japan now is not just going after foreigners within Japan or just leakers in Japan. They're now actively shifting their focus to social media accounts that are in English or Arabic as well to shut them down, and all that is legitimately crazy. Like, they are really going hard in the paint with what I've been seeing here. Like, I know Japan has been very brutal on leaks and stuff in the past, which makes sense. They're trying to protect their properties and rights, but it's just like, yikes. Like, I have never seen them actually try to do such a big push. It really is putting fear in people and leakers because of just what's going on, which, let's get into that. Earlier this morning, TCB, which is a big scanlation group that was constantly translating, let's say, One Piece, JJK, etc., definitely probably read their fan translations before. Anyone that, reads translations early and not the officials has definitely read from TCB. Let's just be completely blunt here. And you've definitely seen manga panels from them. They were the big translation group besides another group, and earlier this morning, their account, as you can see, does not exist anymore. Now, there was a lot of talk and conversation around this earlier this morning that this account closed, not because it had like a DMCA or worry of, let's say, Shueisha or Japanese authorities coming after them, but because like they were just wanting to shift focuses to another site, which is just completely a deflection and diversion tactic to, just not really talk about the situation. But upon further information and stuff, and then with this post that came out as well, and a bunch of other leakers now basically going offline and deleting their accounts, and then this stems from the Reddit post, it's very likely that the reason why TCB scans is now gone is because the Japanese authorities got them, and they're trying to hide as much evidence as they can, or try to, at the very least, just try to get away as quick as possible before things get even worse than they already are. But clearly, from just what this statement is, it seems like Japan knows a lot. There is a paper trail, a digital footprint, and now that they are getting Twitter involved, for instance, they are now getting Twitter headquarters involved to subpoena, these individuals by the Japanese authorities, is legitimately insane. What this effectively means is Japan's going to know these individuals' full birth dates, names, etc., and they're going to crack the whip and try to basically, maybe even bring them into Japan to arrest them and face trial, etc. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not fully, aware of the complete Japanese legal system, but I believe their conviction rate is, really freaking high. And if that is indeed the case, if those individuals that, are now getting subpoenaed by Twitter headquarters and Japanese authorities, basically, they probably will be brought to Japan to face trial, which is just like, oh goodness. Like, obviously, will these countries step in to protect their citizens, or will they be like, yeah, you can have them and all that, and let them go to Japan to face trial? We'll have to see. But it's clear Japan is wanting to put a lot of money into this endeavor and crack down on leak culture in its entirety. Now, one thing I do want to talk about before we go any further is that this post here is not fully confirmed yet. For instance, even this individual here states, take this with a grain of salt, and it stems from this Reddit post. But once again, looking at how there is a bunch of leakers, like different accounts on social media, that is now going offline, disappearing, etc., this is most likely real. I am inclined to believe that this is at least, even if it's not fully accurate, I'm inclined to believe 98% of this is fully accurate. Like, I'm willing to bet you. Now, I don't think we probably have the full list of names that is probably on here, but it's very clear that Japan is incredibly serious about this, and they want these people's info, and they want to get rid of them entirely, or at least scare them off the internet, so to speak. Now, let's get into where this all began and why is this happening in the first place. So, why do people pirate? Or, in general, why do people get these manga chapters early, post them online? Why does this happen? Well, let's talk about that. Now, one thing in particular I will say, and I'm going to say there is a lot of things that just like Japan isn't the right for doing because they are protecting their legal properties, but there is one thing I am in a disagreement with them, and it is this right here. For instance, they're going after not just English-speaking countries, but people also in Arabic countries. For instance, people that have to translate manga into a different language. And there is a lot of countries around this world, not just, let's say, in the West, that read manga. They love manga. And they can't read it legally or officially because there is no official release within their country. And so they have to go to pirate sites to be able to read their favorite series because there is no other option for them. There is no legal way for them to read manga because there is no official translation from Shueisha or whatever. They might not have Viz Media or Manga Plus or whatever. They don't have those sites because their countries just don't get offered them. And so Japan cracking down on different countries and translation groups that don't even actually have an official translation, I think is a little bit too far. Because it's clear that with all this investigation and going on, Japan could easily run the data and probably how much money these different countries are making from ad revenue alone, and be like, maybe we should actually have an official translation in these companies, or these countries, not companies, these countries, to be able to make money off of them. It just seems like Shueisha and Kodansha and all of them are just throwing away money if they're cracking down this hard on these different countries that don't have an official translation when they could easily just make money off of it. But anyways, getting into why it happens in the first place, it all stems back to money. That's literally what it is. It might begin maybe as a passion project. Maybe the people that first get these chapters early want to translate them out of pure passion, but eventually that devolves into greed and hunger for money because you have people within Japan that, have magazines delivered to different stores, and they're delivered maybe a few days early before the official release in Japan and the whole world to see. They grab these magazines, they take a picture with their phone or whatever, put it through a copy machine, doesn't matter. The point is they copy the magazine, the raw physical magazine, and then they send them to these groups that pay for them in like different forums and different sites online, and they pay quite the premium for it. And then in turn, when they get those things, either they can give them to someone else, or they make a scanlation group, aka like TCB Scans here, and then they put them on a site, run ads beside the early chapters to profit and make money off of them. And so this is why these groups do that, because they're making a lot of money off of these chapters. Because let's be fair here, if you're someone that's an average reader, like let's say you read One Piece, JJK, My Hero, whatever, and you hear the chapters out early, let's say on a Tuesday, and if you wanted to read official, you're going to have to wait another 6 days to read the official. You're probably going to read the pirated version. Let's just be completely blunt here. I'm not going to try to stand on a moral high ground. I'm stating facts. Most people are going to go after the unofficial translation. That's the truth. It is. And, they're going to go to these sites, and these sites are going to have ads. Obviously, a lot of people are going to have ad block, but there is definitely a percentage that will not have ad block. And then they're going to see these ads on the side, and then TCB Scans or other scan groups are going to get money from those said ads, and then they're going to turn around and use that money for themselves to profit, but also to buy more magazines to continue the trend of releasing manga early. So it is a lucrative business, an actual illegal lucrative business for these individuals to do. Now, I'm not saying it's right, I'm just saying that this is why they do it. I'm just stating the facts of why this actually happens to begin with. Now, getting into what I talked about a few weeks back, why does this happen in the first place? Like, for instance, how? Well, as you can see, the main core problem, or the crux of the issue, is the physical release. Because Japan has a physical distribution, it's so ingrained in their culture that they release it every single week. People go to shops, bookstores, etc. to grab a Shonen Jump magazine and read the magazine and buy it. You see this constantly referenced in anime, so it is definitely a part of their culture. It's a huge deal within their culture. So shifting completely away from physical release magazines is definitely hard for Japan because they get a lot of money off of it. But at the same time, if they want to circumvent this issue and get rid of piracy at least a little bit easier, they need to just go fully digital. Now, this is not to say that it would completely disregard piracy in general for these manga as well, because there could always be data breaches, DDoS attacks, etc., and insiders still willing to leak stuff, but I feel like in terms of paper trail or the digital footprint would definitely be a lot easier to track than someone that is going to a physical store to scan a copy and then, send it out to other people. It'd definitely be harder to track that than a digital footprint. So everything considered, that is why it actually happens. Now, to be fair, is this the end of leaks in itself? No. Leaks will always be around. Pirated manga and all that will always be a thing. It's not something that is just going to disappear. It's not. No matter how much Japan wants to crack down and put the fear of anime gods in their heart, it is not going to stop leak culture. Once again, it goes back to what I said earlier. It's too lucrative of a business. Too much money to be made. People are going to do it. If they can find a way, they will find loopholes to be able to do it. And it's just going to continuously happen. Now, regardless with all of that, getting back into this actual story, Japan really is going crazy. Like, they are trying to get all the personal information of these individuals. They are trying to get them into their country. It is actually insane. I don't really think I've ever seen Japan go this hard for just, leaks. Like, I know they've arrested people in the past and shut down sites and stuff, but I don't think I've ever seen them go after personal individuals on social media and really try to get everything about them to potentially arrest them. I mean, it makes sense why they're doing it, because it's like, let's be fair here. Anyone that, let's say, is on Twitter, if you know anything, you'll always see, One Piece and all the series just trending, worldwide trending, and it's early leaked chapters, and even if you try to actively avoid One Piece or different leaks in general, you're going to see them on your timeline, you're going to see them in the trending tab, and it's hard to really just, get away from that. People that, browse or YouTube as well, I've seen it myself, where other content creators will cover just leaks and tech spoilers instead of actually just waiting for the official chapters to come out. It's a whole community. A lot of people do that type of stuff, and so it's really hard to escape that. So when you have these videos just constantly trending and, it's getting a lot of, viral hits and stuff, it's, definitely doing, potentially from Japan's perspective, a lot of damage to their brand. So it makes sense why they're really coming in hard for all this. They're really trying to stop this, because it's just been so out of control, at least in the last few years, especially since, let's say, 2020. But I'll leave it at that. I wanted to talk about this, a very fascinating update to everything going on. Once again, I don't think this is going to stop anything, because a lot of these different communities and stuff, or groups, fan translations, will just rebrand, change themselves. Some of them will get away, some of them won't. But yeah, just Japan going absolutely bonkers with all of this. But I'll leave it at that. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and links to all these different posts and stuff will be in the description as well if you want to check them out for yourself. But Chibi out.